A man can only complain about a topic for so long before he starts to think, gee, maybe I should act on that. Maybe I should make a change in my life. So I'm doing exactly that. I am leaving just all social media, just leaving it behind. I'm going to delete some accounts and just nuke it all. Nuke and pave to social media. Yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. I released a video where I talked about the fundamental design problems with social media. And there are many. It simply is a fundamentally flawed concept, in my opinion. Yes, there are good points to it, but in my opinion, the bad points outweigh the good points, and I simply don't want to be a part of that anymore. It's not all that beneficial to my life. When I was a child in the 1980s, we did not have social media, and life, for me at least, was pretty good. In the 1990s, we did not really have social media, not really anyway, and life, at least for me, was pretty darn good. And honestly, my life's great now too. Probably one of the worst parts of my life is the existence of social media. And the impact that it has on me, my friends, those around me. It just isn't, it doesn't jive with being human. If you want more details on why I came to this, go find my video on why social media is fundamentally broken and flawed. I won't get into all that here. But what I will say is that when I tried leaving social media, Twitter, Facebook, blah, 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 behind for a 30-day experiment earlier this year, it went great. There was no negative impact. I slept better, no joke. You guys can go look up the video on that if you don't believe me. I chronicled the whole darn thing. I was more productive. I was happier. I wasn't constantly checking my phone or my tablet or nothing for what was the latest outrageous tweet. None of that stuff. I just was happier. My life was better. And yet I went right back to using social media. And I thought at the time, maybe I'll learn some lessons from of my time away from social media. Maybe I'll just use social media only when sitting down at a computer terminal, just once or twice a day. No, it doesn't work. It creeps right back into your life. It gets in you right here. The people who make the very big social media sites know that. They know of its addictive nature. It's designed to enhance the addictive qualities of social media. I'm just quitting it cold turkey. I'm just simply done. The things that I could do with my life, with the time I could get back from not being on social media, I can't pass that up. I mean, really, if something's bad for you, if you know that something has an overall negative impact on your life, why continue to do it? Now, I'm not telling any of you need to stop using Twitter or something like that. You do you. I will support you doing you until the end of time. Until the volcanoes down around Yellowstone wipe us all off the face of the earth. I will continue to support your right to tweet whatever you want. I'm just done with it. I'm done with it. I don't want any part of it anymore. And if I continue to take part in it, that just makes me dumb because I don't like it. So I'm moving on. So what I'm doing is this. And I've thought about the best way to do this here. Google Plus is easy because Google Plus is going away anyway. So I'm just going to delete that account. No big deal. Facebook, well, that's easy too. Kind of already did that one. But I do have a show account on Facebook. I'm deleting that as well. Doesn't really get me much. Deleting my Reddit account because you know what? I don't really like where Reddit's gone. Reddit's just turned into this big negative where everyone just gets angry at each other all the time. So I'm just leaving that behind too. LinkedIn, I'm going to just simply ignore. Which is pretty much what I usually do with LinkedIn anyway. Honestly, for me, LinkedIn is just a thing where it stores my resume. I mean, that's really what it is for me anyway. So I'm just going to stop using any of the socially elements of it and just pretend like it doesn't exist and probably lose my login and password for it until the next time I need to update it for something. And otherwise, I'm just going to ignore that it exists entirely. Because for me, LinkedIn doesn't really meet that social media thing that the other sites do. Now, Twitter is an interesting beast. I have a decent sized following on Twitter. Some 15,000 or so people follow me there. And I don't want someone else coming in after I delete my account and impersonating me. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to shutter Twitter, which is a fun phrase to say. And what I mean by that is this. I'm going to delete all my past posts on Twitter. I'm going to post this video as a tweet, pin it to the top of my profile, and then just log out. And log out everywhere. After a period of time, maybe I'll fully delete the account. I don't know. The thing is, I don't want someone else coming in and making an @BrianLunduke on Twitter. That's the only thing I don't want to have happen. Maybe I will change my email and my password on Twitter to something just totally random, so it's like impossible for me to ever log back in, but it just exists right there. Maybe I'll do something like that. I don't want to ever use it. But I don't want someone else to impersonate me on it, since I did build up kind of a large following, and there's so many @BrianLundukes tagged in so many posts around Twitter. I don't want someone else feeding off of that and, sullying the Lunduke name or whatever. So I think that's the way I'm going to handle that one. Maybe I'll just go ahead and delete it. Part of me just wants to just nuke it. I'm not 100% certain. I'm going to post this, pin it, and then walk away for a little bit. Think about that. And if any of you have any suggestions for good ways to handle me not having access to the account, but no one else getting access to it either, let me know, and maybe I'll come up with something cool there. I'm going to keep YouTube around, obviously, because for me, YouTube is not really a social media platform. I recognize that for some people, it might be. But for me, it's a distribution platform. It's like my channel, right? For me, it's no more social media than, say, turning on ABC on the TV or Channel 13 on the VHF spectrum. Or U62. But for me, it's basically that. It's the opportunity for people to watch me on YouTube. I'm going to keep YouTube. I'm not going to change anything on YouTube, but I don't really use YouTube for the social media aspect. Anyway, you guys are free to comment to your heart's content. I've got a moderation crew that helps me to moderate those comments. So I don't need to really worry about it too much anymore. And you guys can just have fun there, I guess. I'm also going to keep the Patreon side of things going. Patreon's a little different. So this is the closest thing to social media that I'm keeping around. So my Patreon site, if you go to patreon.com/BrianLunduke, is roughly 1,000 or so right now people that subscribe to this show, that help to pitch in to keep the lights on, to keep the show going. And we take part in small community things, but it's much more akin to old style BBSing. It's very small, intimate, supportive, and just all around kind. So I'm going to keep that in place. And I'm still going to be active over there, but that's more like a closed off message board. You know what I mean? It's less of a free for all of the social media world. It's nothing like that. There's no people going around going, I've got to post something controversial for the up-likies. No, it's nothing like that, right? And so I'm just going to keep that one around because it's great. That's what I'm keeping around for that. Now there are significant upsides and downsides to me taking this approach. The upsides is, and I've been keeping track of this lately, it's going to free up a lot of my time. In part because of the amount of time I spend on social media is significant. But also in part because every time I get into something on social media, it takes my attention from something else, and it takes my brain a little bit of time to pivot back to whatever it was I was doing. Thus, even though I'm not spending, say, time now on social media, if I was 2 minutes ago, my brain's really not fully engaged with the article I was writing or the video I was producing. So this is going to help me be a lot more productive. It really did a great job of that when I left it for 30 days, way back yonder, and I have no doubt that it'll do the same now. And I also expect it to help make me a lot happier, because most of what goes on social media is just raw anger, and I don't need that in my life. Get out of here with that stuff. But there are downsides, right? It does limit my ability to hop on social media and promote myself, right? Or promote things my friends are doing. However, it doesn't hurt me that much, because when I tested this earlier this year, I watched very carefully when I wasn't on social media and I wasn't promoting my own shows, at least for a little bit. I saw no net change in the amount of people watching my videos or my podcast. None of it. It stayed pretty consistent. So I expect that to be pretty much the same. And let's be honest. If I record something here and send it out via YouTube and MP4 and MP3 and everything else, it's going to reach a lot more people than a tweet. People can still share these videos and these shows I produce out on whatever social media they like. I don't begrudge them that in the slightest. Go for it. Have fun. Have a field day. But I'm quitting because I simply don't want the social media in my life anymore. And this is all part of kind of a broader re-architecting of my personal life. Not really my personal life, my personal computing life. And I've been thinking about this a lot over the course of the last year. And if you've been watching my shows, you've seen me toy with lots of various things, like using computers more like I did in the late 80s and early 90s. I ran a whole experiment around that earlier in the year, and there was some good and some bad with it. And I realized it's time for me to pull the trigger and start just living that way, living the way I enjoy living. I want to sit down and always get a kick out of me using a computer. I don't want to dread it. I don't want it to make me stressed out. I don't want to get in arguments with people. I just want to enjoy the awesome things we have built together, the nerdy things. That is what I want to be doing. And so I've got a few other changes that I'm working on here for how I use my computers, for my computers themselves, and all of that good stuff. But the first, the biggest, and I think the most important change is just nuking the social media. Just got to get rid of it. That's just got to be done. So, adios, Twitter, etc. And this episode of the Lunduke Show, which isn't really that weird of it's kind of a weird episode. It's a weird episode. Let's be honest with you. It's brought to you in part by Pogo Linux, who make the most amazing servers on the planet and workstations that are filled with guts that are just amazing. Go over to pogolinux.com and spec out a rig. Even if you're not planning on buying one, just spec it out just so you can lust after it. They're just fantastic. And Purism, who make laptops and an upcoming cell phone with hardware kill switches in them. So if you're paranoid about, well, who's listening to you like I am, because you should be, head over to Purism's website, puri.sm, and check out their laptops preloaded with the Linuxy free software goodness. It's absolutely fantastic. And Lulzbot 3D printers. You need a 3D printer. A home's not a home without a 3D printer. I seriously, I couldn't imagine not having a 3D printer now. 2 years ago, I thought, 3D printers, that's neat. It's something that's cool. Like that's a cool thing with neat applications. But I didn't see the need for one for me, like for my personal life. Now that I've had one, nay, two, I couldn't imagine not having a 3D printer. They're absolutely glorious. I print toys for my kids. You print ornaments and cookie cutters and cases for Raspberry Pis and little doodads and tchotchkes. Just because I print some things with iron filaments, actual iron. You can print things with wooden filaments, real wood that you can polish and stain. It's glorious. Check them out at lulzbot.com. And if you want to keep tabs on what I'm doing, can't do it on Twitter no more. Go to lunduke.com for all the links to go everywhere. It reminds me, I need to update lunduke.com so it doesn't have links going all the various wrong places like the Twitters. Or patreon.com/Brian Lunduke. That'll give you that community over there and let you pitch in to help sponsor this show, make it even greater. Or you can read my articles at linuxjournal.com. And of course, you can follow this show over on YouTube at youtube.com/Brian Lunduke. That's it. Sayonara, tweeters.